hostis ruet. Tenebrae surdunt bellum clamat, mortis cantus mundus amat. Inferno dei Templari, crucem portamus victoriae via. Inferno dei Templari, ad mortem, ad gloriam semper una via.
Okay, there we go. How about now? And yeah, it's I know it's a little... Okay. Can you guys... It's showing it works now. It should... Okay, good. I don't know what fucking Discord does, or OBS does, but it will fucking remove my headphones and my fucking... Apparently, so I know I have to put in everything right back in. So I have to go through all my scenes. Every fucking thing, which I'm fine with. Oh god, I don't know what the hell. Okay, let's put that back. Let's go to this. Paste. A lot of behind the scenes stuff. Oh shit, are you kidding me? I did not... Oh wow, okay, well that's fucking interesting. Didn't know I didn't do that. So I'm gonna do that. Ah, okay. I think I have everything set back up now. Okay. I don't know what the fuck happened. But, yeah, okay, so everything should be fine. I think I have headphones and a microphone back working. Anyway, so what I was saying is we're going to be taking a look at an article that Blaze sent in about the apparent Satanist influence on the woke right, horseshoe right, the belligerent right, whatever you want to call them. And because this was going to be part of last week's Midnight Mass, but it was way too long of a dedicated article. By that time, I was already basically tired and ready to go to bed, like palate cleansers, and it's too long for a video. That's the... What the hell? It's not that fucking loud. Oh, did that get bumped up too? Okay, what the fuck? Okay, that should be back to... Oh, why was it at 27? It should be at 30, or negative 30 decibel. Right? And this one should be... at... Okay. There we go. Okay, yeah. I don't get the music thing, because in my headphones it doesn't sound loud, but I guess for you guys it does. I don't know. Anyway, welcome in Ayala, Leo, K-Show, everyone. Yeah. Windows love to change. Yeah, it fucking does. So we're gonna be taking a look at that. Please hit like on the stream. Please share this out on your, Twitter or whatever. And if you feel so generous, please, Streamlabs down below, because, oh my god, Lunatic is well in first place for this month's Money in the Bank. I mean, and he would need, I think you would need to drop the fucking Spartan dono to take him out. hate OBS. I fucking hate you. What is your fucking problem, OBS? Okay, how about now? Can you hear me now? God fucking damn it! Well, this was fun. God. Okay, I am so fucking mad right now. I am fucking mad. Yeah, anyway, let me start this fucking bullshit all over again for the third goddamn time. I need my fucking Mountain Dew. Yeah. Anyway, reread this a fucking 4th or 5th time. You know what? I'm not fucking reading that again. You can see the fucking title. Oh, God. Okay, so imagine this, one of the most influential voices in independent media in the United States, Tucker Carlson, publicly and explicitly named by a Russian philosopher as the leading bridge to what he calls the real MAGA. Now imagine this same philosopher going to Rome, Italy, and having an 8-hour meeting with Steve Bannon in a hotel room that sits steps away from Julius Evola's former apartment. I'm not exactly sure who that is. Who cares? Bonding over traditionalist philosophy and strategies to dismantle what they consider the liberal globalism, the philosopher is now courting the woke right, the people supposedly on the right who believe the world is controlled by Jews, and dive headfirst into discussions of astral projection, which, what the fuck, third eye activation, giants as suppressed history, ancient history, communication with the dead, and a decentralized, non-institutional form of esoteric Christianity, which would be a religious free-for-all aimed squarely at Americans who describe themselves as spiritual but not religious. Now, what I was saying is this sounds like a lot of bullshit. This sounds a lot of spiritual, self-aggrandized pagan bullshit. But the one thing I do think is giants as suppressed ancient history. Now, I wouldn't necessarily call them suppressed ancient history, more not known. And it's more or less the idea that people just think of them as myth more than anything. Because lots of cultures have stories of giants. I mean, Goliath is probably one of the most well-known. You have the Titans and all that. But all this other shit, third eye activation, this sounds like a lot of fucking weird I am God shit. This is in no way hypothetical or a fringe conspiracy post. This is the exact content of a video released in early March of 2026 by Alexander Dugin, who many in the West refer to as Vladimir Putin's brain. Dugin has been operating in the shadows for years with a clear operational plan to portray the United States as a terminal moral, economic, and political collapse. He has accused President Donald Trump of betraying the multipolar vision of the world where the United States is not the superpower of the world and is actively recruiting Americans to his cause through influencers whose anti-Israel positions and emerging spiritual content already are aligned with his broader metaphysical and geopolitical framework.
They have the problem with
So, this guy apparently is, I guess, the right-wing version of, what, Soros? Is that what they're trying to fucking say? He's this weird puppeteer master that thinks Trump's going down the wrong path because he doesn't fucking hate the Jews and Israel? God, there's so much... Yeah, is America in a terminal moral or economic decline? I mean, moral, I don't know. There's been a lot of uprising in Christianity lately. There's been a lot of people going back to church, a lot of people rethinking that. Economic, I mean, maybe for a moment there's dips and shit. I don't really see it, especially since Trump is actually more popular now than he was last year. This idea that MAGA is dead isn't exactly an idea that even CNN can fucking say anymore.
The United States is on the edge of the radical collapse. So that is superpower, hyperpower, that is collapse. That is agony of it. And we need to understand that well. We should not be hypnotized by the real situation in the United States. They are in very, very bad situation. And hence, they're radical and extremist actions.
Bad situation.
So
I don't really
they
feel
have
like
the problem with Epstein elite. They have the problem with economy. They have the great problem with the state of the moral United States.
It's even worse than that now. The people that are saying MAGA is dead were in MAGA only when it was popular and then dipped out.
To follow that, we need to understand that. We need to study it. We need to have the correct, realistic understanding of what is going on in the United States of America outside of their propaganda, maybe outside of our own propaganda. So we have to have a very correct, realistic understanding of American society, because from that depends almost everything in the world. So we need to try to reach the people of real MAGA, or the core MAGA,
real MAGA. By the way, the people that are saying that they're real MAGA, they're real American,
geopolitical,
they're the ones yelling at
metaphysical
America the
vision
most.
of multipolarity, because the MAGA accepted multipolarity. Trump has betrayed MAGA and declared
his stance on Iran has not changed for 30, 40 years.
Has declared the war to multipolarity. So, but not MAGA. So we need to follow people like Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Alex Jones, Andrew Neapolitano, Larry Johnson.
Alex Jones is not always right.
Jackson
He's done
Hinkle,
some great things, but he's kind of a lunatic.
Great, absolutely great.
Candace Owens is a
in.com that we should invite next time for our conference. He is very great. So we need to reach to these non-conformist MAGA people in the United States who have a very similar vision of what are the real priority to save America, to save the world, to save the West, to save the East, and so on. So we have immense amount of our
He's also self-admitted to saying that.
United States of America. MAGA movement has made a rise of them. They help to them to reappear and to become important influencers, important power inside of American society. Now they are leading anti-Israeli line, and that coincides geopolitically with our vision of things. So that is very important.
Okay, so he's basically saying that these people that claim to be so America first, that claim to be so pro-America, that they blame America for anything and instantly call America the villain, they're the ones that they need to be reached because they have the correct view of America because they're constantly shitting on America. I don't... What? Okay. This esoteric weirdo, let's see. The first person this Bond villain lookalike names is Tucker Carlson, followed by Candy O, the bisexual. It actually didn't know she was. I don't care. Psychotic stalker Alex Jones, Andrew Napolitano, Larry Johnson, Jackson Hinkle, I tangentially know him, and even Kin.com, what a name, as natural vectors for amplification. The message from him is unmistakable. Even with his thick accent, these figures are not random choices. Their content, whether it's geopolitical critique or esoteric spiritual exploration, creates the perfect entry point for Duggan's vision of a multipolar world in which Russia leads the grand Eurasian bloc against what he refers as the Western hegemony. Now, do we really want people that, like Candace Owens, who claims that the word God, invoking God, creeps her out, and Tucker Carlson, who's a self-admitted new Christian, to lead this spiritual battle through what this guy is calling third eye activation, this fucking Eastern philosophy shit. And I have nothing necessarily against Eastern, what we call spirituality. I think there's a lot of I don't think there's smoke without fire, right? Like with the story of giants, like the story of the flood, I just think that there's a lot of stuff that they do that's just not compatible with, Christianity. Especially in India when they light women on fire because their husband died. It's a real thing, by the way. So these people like Candace Owens and Johnson and Carlson, they're the perfect puppets to be used to push his vision of the world where Russia is the head of the table. No, I don't want Russia as the head of the table. I don't want Israel as the head of the table. I don't want China as the head of the table. And I don't want Iran as the head of the table. You know who I want as the head of the table? United States. Because I love this country. Okay? I hate the idea that the people who like this country so much that it's a good thing that we're not part of Europe anymore. It's a good thing that we're not under the crown anymore. It's a good thing that we're our own entity. That's less American than saying, hey, we need to team up with, China. They're not as bad as we think. Russia's not as evil as we're told. And, Islam is actually it's actually a real peaceful idea, guys. And it's those darn dirty Jews who make Christians and Muslims hate each other, when that's nowhere near true. Even if you look at the book, the Quran says that Christians and Jews have perverted the word of God, and that Islam, the Quran, is the true, undoctored version, when they can't even agree on what version. They burned all but like 2. Now you may be asking yourself, how did I get here? This isn't my house. Why should I care? Well, because these are not marginal voices operating at the edge of the internet. No, Tucker Carlson's independent platform reaches tens of millions. He's one of the biggest names in, I would like to say journalism, but I don't really feel comfortable in saying it. Shaping how millions think about foreign policy, cultural decline, and institutional trust, which they rightly deserve to lose trust in. Candace Owens commands a massive following among young people seeking more culturally insurgent alternatives to the traditional GOP messaging, which I'm not against. I think a lot of times the GOP get in their own way, and their biggest enemy is their own incompetence and spinelessness. But the messaging, as well as attacking Charlie Kirk's grieving widow at TPUSA, and you cannot like how Erica Kirk is running TPUSA. You can think that maybe she's not the face of the company, and it should be someone far more trusted, even though Charlie Kirk kind of said that she was going to be anyway, even when he was alive. But whatever. But attacking her because you're claiming she's a possessed demon who actually is controlled by Jews to kill her husband. Yeah, okay, whatever. Fucking weirdo. Nick Fuentes, who I fucking can't stand, is a fucking polyword and a fake. And the Groypers are the most dumbest people on the planet. Oh, hey, Farron. The Groypers or something. Are rising in popularity. Alex Jones' ecosystem, despite years of ridiculous legal battles, still exerts outsized influence on populist thinking around hidden power structures, health freedom, and globalism. Now, Megyn Kelly, a once respected journalist, has decided to join their ranks amongst the Woke Reich. Now, here's the thing. The other side, who like Nick Fuentes and they will say that they don't like censorship, that they're very much anti-censorship, even though that they're very much for it when it fits them and benefits them. I don't want Nick Fuentes, Alex Jones, Candace Owens censored. I don't want them. Now, these different platforms can tailor what words they want used on their platform. It's their house. You don't track mud into it. But I don't want Nick Fuentes censored. Because it makes these people like Fuentes, like Carlson, like Jones, it makes them look more forbidden fruit. Like they've become martyrs. The worst thing you can do to an idea is censor it, regardless if the idea is genuinely evil or not. I think you should learn about the evils of slavery around the world, which America fought and bled to end. I think you should learn about the evils of communism and socialism, which Marxism and Nazism, fascism is all part of. The worst thing that these people can be faced with is an opposing idea. And as people know, I've dealt with the aristocrat, the fucking utensil. They don't like differing ideas because differing ideas are scary and mean. So yeah, that's what really causes people like Fuentes to rise. Is like he was deplatformed, he was debanked, and he was also put on a no-fly list. Now, this is his words. I cannot say for certain that they were true. I know he was deplatformed, but this is not a good idea, which is giving rise to this woke right. Because they see the current right as nothing but feckless, spineless jellyfish, which, yeah. And Steve Bannon is another fucking bandwagoner. He really was. Ask a Razorfist about that guy. Holy shit. Steve Bannon remains a central connective node, chode, in nationalist circles through his War Room platform and international networking. If Duggan, I don't know which, outreach gains even partial traction, it does not merely produce a few awkward interviews or viral clips. It risks injecting a sophisticated, foreign-born, occult-tinged, and explicitly anti-liberal ideology into the beating heart of American conservatism. Now, when they say anti-liberal ideology, I don't think they mean what we would instantly think of liberal, right? When we think modern liberalism, we think, as it says down here, secular liberalism, which is much more progressivism. It's Marxism under the guise of freedom. Traditional liberalism, which is free speech, the ability to not be beaten because you don't worship the right guy, or you don't bend the knee to this particular crowd, right? So I don't really, I know a lot of people may not be like, well, we don't want liberalism. Not the way they mean it. It could accelerate trends towards isolationism, civilization, particularism over universal values, and a spiritual framework that simultaneously rejects secular liberalism and traditional Western Christianity in favor of something much more flexible, experimental, aligned with Eurasian metaphysics, and spells certainly for a world where China and Islam rule the world. And that's a fucking nightmare of a scenario. Because Christianity, as this is Western Christianity, it built the West, okay? It is a central key figure whether you want to believe in Jesus or not, it's still what made this country what it is. A lot of our rules and a lot of our systems of thought are founded in that ideology. Metaphysics, spiritual, like this is all just weird psychobabble pagan bullshit. And again, look at the words it says. It says China and Islam. Government and religion. Those are two things that are fucking horrible. Because as I've stated in a video about who killed Jesus Christ, it was government and religion. Because those two things tend to work together. And the current version of what that evil was 2,000 years ago is Marxism as the governmental hand, Islam as the religious hand, even though there is a large amount of political shit in Islam, but it is mainly a theocracy. In short, a Russian philosopher with deep roots in esoteric fascism and Nazi legal theories attempted to steer elements of the American right using the very influencers that millions of everyday conservatives already trust and follow. This is not abstract foreign policy trivia or the ravings of a marginal academic who, as I stated before, is known as Putin's brain. It is a live influence operation aimed at evangelical Christians and the populist right at the moment when the movement is already navigating internal fractures, spiritual hunger, and rightful skepticism toward mainstream institutions. Understanding Dugin and the full architecture behind his March 2026 video is no longer optional for anyone who cares about the direction of America, American sovereignty, the integrity of conservative media, and the long-term soul of the American right. Yep. So they're targeting Christians to push, well, evangelical Christians, whatever you want to talk about, denomination. They're targeting Christians as a means to push this absolute horseshit. So, esoteric fascism and Nazi legal theory. Okay, yeah, that's something we need in America right now, right? Let's just dive into which I find funny. Russia and Nazi. It's almost like there's a little more to the story than we know. But let's give the left what they want, and let's just have the right go full fucking Nazi. I mean, they've been calling us that for years, decades even, going back to even the 1950s. Who is Alexander Dugin in 2026? From Soviets underground dissident to Russia's leading ideological architect. Russia. Yeah, and that's funny. There was something that was brought up in a Cobra Cast stream. How did Trump go from owned by Russia to now he's owned by Jews or owned by Israel? What do they bid? What do they bid on him like it's an auction? Like, so he was owned by Russia, then he lost the election to only be owned by Israel and win the next election. Like, the people screaming, he's owned by Israel. You sound just like the people that scream, he's owned by Russia, as if Trump can't make up his own fucking mind. Dugin was born on January 7th, 1962 in Moscow to a family with strong ties to the Soviet military intelligence apparatus. His father served as high-ranking officer in the GCU, Soviet military intelligence, giving the young Dugin early exposure to geopolitical thinking and classified perspectives on the Cold War. Yet Dugin rebelled against the system. He was expelled from Moscow Aviation Institute in the early 80s for anti-Soviet activities and plunged into Moscow's underground dissident scene. From there, he devoured forbidden Western texts on esotericism, traditionalism, and far-right philosophy. I wouldn't really call Nazis far-right, but whatever. Translating works by René Guénon and Julius Evola while experimenting with occult practices. It's simple. Every year they have a Trump auction. Oh, exactly. By the late 80s, he joined the Pamyant, translated as memory, one of Russia's most notorious ultra-nationalist and anti-Semitic organizations. Yeah, people don't understand how anti-Jew and anti-Semitic the Russian Soviets were. For all the crap that they were saying, well, you know, it was actually a lot of Jews that were in the Bolsheviks. Yeah, because, you know, people being people, they join a group that they thought would give them purpose in life. Okay? There was a lot of fucking Christians that thought fucking Adolf Hitler was a good Christian when he really wasn't. You know, there's a lot of people that fall for dumb shit all the time. How many, like, speaking of the 1980s, remember the satanic panic? Remember every fucking so-called Christian calling heavy metal and Pokemon and Dungeons and Dragons the work of Satan? People can fall for whatever if it gives them a group, and a group is protection, and the protection is, you know, power. They also kind of leave out the fact that Russia killed a whole bunch of Jews. They say that Russia killed a whole bunch of Christians. Okay, yeah. So did Nazi Germany. So did fascist Italy. So did Cuba. You know, it's just what they do. You know, because Christ will always compete with the government, because the government is the world. Where he, so he joined the organization where he sharpened his ability to blend mysticism, conspiracy theory, and Russian Orthodoxy revivalism. In the 90s were his breakthrough decade amid the collapse of the Soviet Union. In 1993, the year I was born, he co-founded the National Bolshevik Party with writer, I'm guessing that's Edward Limonov. Interesting. National Bolshevik Party. Okay, so he dives into anti-Semitism, but also starts a Bolshevik party. And as I just said, they like to equate Bolshevism as a group of mean Jews. You see how very easily, if you look at shit, the snake eats its own tail? It's almost like they're fucking insane. And they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. A deliberately provocative fusion of fascism, communism, and imperial Russian nationalism that earned the nickname Nazbol. The party's aesthetic deliberately echoed Nazi symbolism, and his platform called for the vast Eurasian empire stretching from Dublin to Vladivostok. Duggan eventually broke with Limonov in 1988, but the core idea endured. His 1997 book, Foundations of Geopolitics, became the foundation text for modern Russian revanchism. In it, Duggan laid out detailed strategies for weakening the United States through internal subversion, supporting racial separatist movements, isolating Britain, forging alliances with Iran and Germany. Keep in mind, Germany still has Nazi-era laws in the books. Just want to put that out there. And eventually annexing Ukraine territory. Okay, so forging alliances with Iran and annexing Ukraine. Weird. Now, I know Biden pumped a lot of money in Ukraine, but it's like the war started under his watch. Now, doesn't that sound exactly like what is happening now? Yes, exactly. The Putin era elevated Duggan further. By the early 2000s, he was lecturing at Moscow State University and advising on cultural policy, and one who founded what would become the International Eurasian Movement. In 2002, he launched the Eurasian Party. In 2014, annexation of Crimea and subsequent war in Donbas made him a household name in Russia. He openly called for aggressive policies in Ukraine, though he later claimed some inflammatory statements were misquoted. The tragic 2022 car-bombed assassination of his daughter, Daria Duggan, which was widely attributed to Ukrainian special services, transformed him into a martyr figure with Russia nationalist circles and intensified his public rhetoric. Now, I don't like the idea that his daughter was car bombed, and if it was Ukrainian Special Forces, that's objectively fucking wrong. It's evil. But using that as a means to push your objective and your twisted fantasy, that's just as evil because you're standing on her dead bones. Since 2023, Dugin has served as director of the Ivan Ilyin Higher School of Politics at the Russian State University for the Humanities. Oh, the Humanities! There he oversees curricula explicitly designed to combat Americacentrism, reframe global history through the lens of the competing civilization states, and promote Russia as a sacred land-based power opposed to maritime Atlanticism. Okay. Despite student protests and petitions in 24 that gathered tens of thousands of signatures opposing the school's naming after the fascist admiring philosopher Ivan Ilyin, Dugin remains firmly in place. He continues publishing books, articles, and podcasts at a relentless pace, granting international interviews, including a CNN in 2025, where he declared Putinism has won in the U.S., and framing every global event from U.S. elections to Middle East conflicts through his anti-liberal multipolar prism. So yeah, this guy is quite the character. Started a Bolshevik party, very much pro-Nazi ideology, or at least iconography. The International Eurasia Movement, Dugin's organization, engine, and the Chaos Star flag. Dugin's ideas are not abstract musings, they are operationalized through the International Eurasia Movement, which he founded in 2001 and has led continuously ever since. What began as a domestic Russia initiative quickly internationalized in 2003, because these situations always internationalized. They cannot stay domestic. It's what they always expand. It's imperialistic by nature. Positioning itself as a global network dedicated to a multipolarity, traditional values, anti-globalism, which okay, fine, that's good, and alliances among non-Western civilizations. You're anti-globalism, but you want to go with non-Western civilizations like China and Iran? Yeah, they're not expansionistic at all. The movement maintains a formal Supreme Council, which has at times included Russian diplomats and state-affiliated intellectuals, regional branches across Europe and Asia, youth organizations such as the Eurasian Youth Union, known for their street activism, propaganda campaigns, and being banned in Ukraine as an extremist group. Well, Ukraine also has Nazis, like legit Nazis, so, you know, what to them is an extremist group, but still, that sounds oddly familiar to Antifa. Annual international conferences, including high-profile multipolarity forums in Moscow that attract speakers from Iran, China, Turkey, and European okay, I hate having to say far-right parties, because when they mean far-right, it's not the best word. They mean the extreme, I guess the extreme right? I don't know. I hate the term far-right. It's been overused. And publishing arms that translate Dugin's extensive writings into English, French, Spanish, Arabic, and other languages. In 26, the movement is evolving but remains robust. Its conferences increasingly emphasize de-dollarization, BRICS expansion. Now, for those who don't know what BRIC is, it's, I believe, Brazil, Russia, Iran, China, and God, I forget who the S was. I can't remember who the S was, but it's, you know, Iran, China, Russia. So yeah, there's a group of people I want to get involved with. No thanks. And cultural critiques of Western wokeness. Okay, fine. I'm not against that. Okay. yeah, there's some what we call common ground. The Eurasian Youth Union runs sophisticated social media operations, because they always do, promoting Russian civilized national identity against NATO expansion. Again, okay, I don't like NATO. Educationally, it overlaps in Duggan's Even Ellen higher school, where students are taught Mackinder-style geopolitics, the eternal struggle between land powers, Eurasia, and the sea powers, the Anglo-American Atlantic world. Okay. The movement's most visual striking symbol is its flag, a black field with eight radical arrows exploding outward. This is not ancient Slavic or Orthodox iconography. It is the Chaos Star, a sigil borrowed directly from modern Western occult chaos magic traditions, as detailed in the 2016 counterpunch investigation by Wahid Azal. The flag is deliberate. It signals that Duggan's operating system is not conventional politics, but a flexible, paradigm-shifting, esoteric methodology in which belief itself becomes a weapon and a contradictions serve strategic ends. So they're using, this is an occult, and isn't it funny that they like to point out that the star, now what is called the Star of David is often attributed as the Star of Renfam, right? The star of, it was a star that was associated not with King David, but associated with the Israelites' time worshiping false gods. And they were saying that you took up the Star of Renfam, and they attribute that as the Star of David. Now, I don't really think that's all too well. I don't know how it became the Star of David. I know that a lot of Christian sites, a lot of Christian churches use an 8-pointed star in their windows, which I find interesting. And these are ancient medieval churches. But isn't it funny that the same people that are promoting that kind of ideology, they're also in bed with this freak, apparently. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, an 8-pointed, what you would call, I guess, a star-esque or star-adjacent symbol that is directly tied to occultism. Okay, well, class houses and whatnot. March of 26, video Duggan's directly call for real MAGA recruitment, which we've seen. In the video I posted at the beginning of the article, Duggan begins with a sweeping diagnosis of America's decline. The United States is on the edge of a radical collapse. We've seen this. This is classic rhetoric from him, echoing passages from his books such as The Last War of the World Island. He frames the U.S. as spiritually and structurally terminal. He immediately pivots to the need for realistic analysis. We need to follow that. We need to understand. We need to study it. We need to have a correct, realistic understanding of what is going on in America, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So he's basically saying that, America needs to be on a better path. And apparently Trump is not leading us on a good path or whatever. We need to study it. Realistic understanding of what is going on in the United States of America outside their propaganda. Yeah, okay. Every fucking nation, especially during a battle or wartime, does propaganda. Duh. Maybe outside their own propaganda. Because from that depends almost everything in the world. Also, hey Donka, welcome in. Then comes the operational directive. The part that directly implicates Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, and the broader Woke Reich to try and reach the people of real MAGA, of the core MAGA, who share with us general ideological, geopolitical yeah, so he's basically saying we need to get rid of their propaganda, but we need to push our propaganda by using Alex Jones, Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes, Tucker Carlson, big names to push what he's wanting in America, which is pagan occultism, Marxist, social Nazism, whatever you want to call it. That's what's going to heal America. And this just kind of goes into like any fucking problem in the modern world. You can look at the dating world. You know, I'm very critical of this guy Dan Blitz or whatever. You can have a serious problem in America or in society, and it's like, what are you selling to fix it? If your solution to fighting globalist Marxism with what you call isolationist Marxism, which will never stay isolated, the idea that, well, you know, Nazis were not international. It's like, okay, you don't understand how socialism works. You know, socialism will never stay domestic because it can't fucking work. It always expands. It always has to expand because the expansion creates war, and war is profitable. It's one reason why Hitler's Nazi Germany was, you know, it created this honeymoon phase in the early days. What was he doing? He was building ammunition. He was building tanks. He was building shit to invade other countries, to expand. Because even if the idea at the beginning wasn't to expand, it was going to necessitate it because socialism collapsed in and on itself. So this guy is what? Operating on the idea that globalist, woke Marxism needs to be defeated by isolationist Marxism. But we'll call it something else, like Hitler did, so that we can say we're the true version. And I've said this many times. Russia versus Germany in World War II was a religious-esque schism. Because they both said, no, I'm the real version. No, I'm the real version. This guy over here in Russia, he's a bad version. And we're the real. It's just all the same fucking hog shit. And this is being peddled by Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones. Like, these people who are not exactly stupid, but they're what, happy to take the check? He reinforces the alignment they are following their leading anti-Israel line, and that coincides geopolitically with our vision of things. Yeah, because that's all that fucking matters to them. Okay, that's all that they care about right now. Everything's gotta be Jew. When the left is everything's Nazi. It's the same thing. You're just throwing buzzwords around. You're saying, well, Trump is owned by Russia. No, Trump is owned by Israel. Like, shut up. They're the same fucking thing. You're just too stupid to realize you're fighting for the same fucking crown. Okay. First off, Dugan, whatever, we do not need or want your help. I didn't even know he existed until this article. Second, why is a man with long history of dabbling in the occult calling supposed Christians like Candace Owens his metaphysical allies? Right? So this guy who has dabbled almost his entire life in occult paganism is now saying, well, these people, these Christians, they're the right... Really? That doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. I mean, it doesn't. Especially since I don't really believe that Candace Owens is Christian. I don't know what this weird need to have pagan occultism work with, but this is exactly what happened in well, you could go back to Marx. Marx said religion is the opiate of the masses, but this is the same thing that happened with Germany. And I said this. I will be egotistical and pat myself on the back. I ended the fucking argument. If Hitler and Himmler and all those guys were so big Catholic Christians, they loved Jesus, they were fighting for him, they loved the Bible and all this, where are the Christian iconography in Nazi Germany, Soviet Russia, Communist China, where is the Christian iconography in these countries? Because if I was to start a country, and you know me, I'm very much a Christian, I would put crosses everywhere. Look, my fucking main symbol I use a lot of times online is a cross. It's a custom one that I made. I even have a necklace of it, but it is a cross nonetheless. It is Christian. The swastika is not a cross. It is by the Pope at the time's own words, it was the crooked cross. And he said the crooked cross will not win against the cross of Christ. So yeah, this esoteric occultist is working with Christians. It's really creepy. It's also really creepy to try and get these so-called Christians to work with promoting Islam or wanting to say that we should work with Islam. No thanks. This is not rhetoric, this is not rhetorical flourish. It is a targeted influence operation using the exact language of shared metaphysical vision to peel away the populist right from Trump-era America. Yeah, it's this idea that, you know, Jesus in the Bible is really just some allegorical stuff. We should all just sing Kumbaya. There's no real difference between the Eastern Hinduism and Buddhism and other. They're all really the same thing, right? No, they're not. No, they're not, because what religion is okay to be openly mocked? Well, depending on the day, Judaism, but mainly Christianity. You can't mock any of the other ones or you're a fucking racist. So they're not all the same. they're never going to be. And this is what I said on my stream about, ranting about Guide. Truth is always the enemy of those in power. Power always fears truth because it's more important. The geopolitical blueprint, multipolarity, as Carl Schmitt's Grossrum reimagined. Okay, wow, what a Schmitt name. At the heart of Duggan's pitch of multipolarity, presented in a video as a natural, almost intuitive fit for the core MAGA worldview, the concept's intellectual lineage is explicit in 2014 interview Theory Talk number 66. Duggan said, I came to the theory of multipolar world, which I eventually developed myself precisely through superimposing geopolitical dualism, Carl Schmitt's theory of Grossrum, and John Hobson's critique of Western racism and the Eurocentrism of IR. Okay, I will admit I'm not particularly well with what I just read. But here is Carl Schmitt, the preeminent legal theorist of the Third Reich, developed the Grossman Great Space concept in the 30s and 40s to justify reorganizing the world into large, culturally homogeneous spheres of influence. Each block would be dominated by a leading power enforcing its own particularist norms rather than submitting to universal liberal principles such as human rights or intellectual law. Now, again, this is using terms like liberal and universal. I'm not particularly liking that because of, what they've become. But human rights and international law, I don't know about international law, but definitely human rights. Hey, Baba. Oh, hey, Sheer. Oh, shit. I didn't even notice that. Shit, I did. yeah, human rights. It's actually a very liberal idea, you know. Actually, if you want to look at the original liberal, I guess. But it's interesting. He's fighting against universal principles of human rights. I guess that makes sense why he's teaming up with China and Iran, or at least happy to. He simply updates the map for the 21st century. Russia as the heartland of the vast Eurasian bloc, China as another, the Islamic civilization as the third. Interesting. Yeah, I don't really like that. I don't like Soviet Russia-esque. I don't like communist China in there, and I certainly don't like the Islamic world having control at all. All resisting the decaying Atlanticist center. When Duggan praises the leading anti-Israel line of the named American influencers, he is identifying a civilizational fracture point where Western universalism can be dismantled in favor of Schmittian particularism. Okay. Actually, how long does this go for? Oh shit, there's a lot. Okay. Okay, I just wanted to check how long. Documented Western bridgeheads Tucker Carlson, Steve Bannon, and the Woke Reich spiritual turn. Duggan's confidence in these bridgeheads is not theoretical. It rests on years of documented relationship. The Tucker Carlson connection is the most public. In February of 2024, during Carlson's high-profile Moscow trip for his interview with Vladimir Putin, which is whatever, Tucker also met with Duggan. The two men sat down for an extended private conversation later released on Carlson's platform. Carlson subsequently remarked that Duggan's ideas struck him deeply. In March of this year, video returns the favor by naming Tucker first amongst the, quote, real MAGA allies. Duggan has also made appearances on Alex Jones and Infowars and met with Jackson Hinkle. Okay. What's so fucking funny is that, Niall, you said you like the name of the stream Synergy for the Devil as a play on Symphony for the Devil. I learned, synergy, but I was like, wait, I know that word. And here it is. I did not pre-read. The synergy runs deeper than geopolitics. Carlson and Candace Owens have increasingly platformed content exploring astral projection, third eye activation, giant supposed historical knowledge, government physics, psychic spying programs, and a form of esoteric Christianity target at the spiritual but not religious. Now, I don't, again, like the term platforming. They have a show. They're free to talk to whoever they want. I don't really give a shit. But I do find, well, here's the free speech part of it, where it's like, they claim to be all these big-time Christians, but they're pushing ideas that are, very much not Christian at all. This is not Christianity. This is a cult. This is material. This material creates precisely the post-international spiritual landscape in which Duggan's anti-modern, anti-liberal metaphysics can flourish without triggering traditional religious defenses. So that's triggering mine, asshole. So I wouldn't say that. Steve Bannon's link is older and more intimate. In November of 2018, Bannon, freshly out of the Trump White House, because he was fucking a grifter, bandwagoner, traveled to Rome for a secret 8-hour meeting with Duggan at the Hotel de Russi, deliberately chosen for the proximity to Julian Evola's former apartment. Benjamin Tenenbaum's 2020 book War for Eternity reconstructs the encounter in detail. Hours of discussion on Rene Gagnon and Evola's traditionalist school, shared opposition to liberal globalism, which I am also against. Yes, see, now this is, okay, so this is liberal globalism, which, yeah, obviously we can all be against, it's good. And strategic disagreement over China. Bannon saw it as the primary threat to, Dugan saw it as a necessary partner. That's interesting. They parted on cordial brotherly terms. Bannon has referenced aspects of the meeting positively in later interviews. This was the internationally ranging movement operating at its highest level, quiet ideological diplomacy with Western nationalist power brokers. Oh, okay. Oh, here's the occult engine, Yazoo's, whatever the fuck that is. Han Sever's Chaos Magic and Numa. God damn, this fucking occult bullshit pisses me off. I have no idea what the fuck they're saying. None of these connections operate solely on the material or political plane. Duggan's project is powered by an esoteric engine forged in the Soviet underground. In the late 1970s and early 1980s, the young Dugan joined Moscow infamous Yazinski, whatever, circle, a dissident salon, salon centered on writer Yuri Mamlev, and occultist Yevgeny Golovin. Jesus Christ. The group experimented with satanic rumors, esoteric Nazism, alchemy, hypnotism, Ouija boards, sure, just bullshit. Sufi trances, heavy drinking, I'm not shocked, and apocalyptic fantasy drawn from Western horror films. Duggan adopted the pseudonym Hans Sievers, a direct homage to Wolfram Sievers, the SS officer who directed Heinrich Himmler's God damn, I have no idea how to speak other languages. I don't care. German. Institute for Occult Ancestry Research and Paranormal Experiments. Under that name, he recorded industrial/ritual music tracks from 81 to 84, whose lyrics openly celebrated swastikas, gas ovens, the SS glory in ecstatic, transgressive style. Jesus Christ. Yeah, so a lot of occultist bullshit, a lot of alchemy, fucking talking to the dead, supposedly trying to talk to them. This is the guy that's now in the ear of supposed Christians? Really? So, when these people that want to say, well, you know, do you know what the Synagogue of Satan is? You never heard of that? Yeah, we all... The Synagogue of Satan is literally any mass group that goes against the church. It doesn't matter. It has no racial... This right here, these people who claim to be Christians but are working with an esoteric Nazi, an occultist that wants to do astral projection, this is a synagogue of Satan. This is fucking insanity, let alone evil. What is it with these people all looking like fucking Rasputin? Now, these were not discarded youthful excesses. They became the foundation of his mature thought. Duggan later translated Evolta's works into Russian, authored esoteric treatises such as The Mysteries of Eurasia, and developed a vast philosophical project known as the Pneumacania, whatever, the War of Philosophies or War of the Mind, in which the entire civilizations function as living spiritual organisms with their own deep noetic structure, the logo, locked in eternal dialogue or conflict. What the fuck is this bullshit? The 2016 counterpunch analysis by Wad Azal remains the clearest dissection. Duggan's true operating system is chaos magic. Belief is treated as a malleable tool rather than a fixed truth. Paradigms are shifted at will to achieve practical results. So basically they lie and just, move the goalpost. Walter, shut up. It's definitely hard when it's not even a fucking language I speak. Applied geopolitical, this explains Duggan's legendary rhetoric, flexibility, sounding anti-imperialist to the left audiences, traditionalist to the conservative, and anti-Salafist to certain Muslim groups, all while advocating the same Russia-led Eurasian vision. The black Chaos Star flag of the International Eurasian Movement is the literal sigil for the methodology. Tucker recently said to Megyn Kelly that he thinks Mark Levin uses magic. Turns out that was just projection from Duggan's chaos magic. He gives Jeffrey Epstein a run for his money. Ooh. Oh, that's not a sentence I want to hear. But the spiritual ideal, Byzantine Symphony, and the War of the Protestant Reformation. I'm actually in favor of the Protestant Reformation, actually. Overlaying the chaos magic flexibility is a rigid spiritual hierarchy Duggan calls the Byzantine Symphony, the complete harmonious union of secular power and sacred authority. He often avoids the word religious, obviously, because they always do, to emphasize metaphysical rather than confessional unity. He has repeatedly pointed to joint appearances by Vladimir Putin and Patriarch Kirill, especially after the pilgrimage to Mount Athos, as living embodiments of this ideal. Duggan traces the West's decline directly to the Protestant Reformation and the separation of church and state. No. Okay, if we're going to talk separation of church and state, let's actually talk about what that really is. Honestly, separation of church and state would be much more of a communist idea, because they didn't want the idea of God in schools, God in government, God being talked in that kind of way. So they were like, well, the First Amendment separation of blah, blah, blah. No. Separation of church and state is not an American concept. It's not an American idea. Especially since, when they say separation of church and state, they only mean one church. They're fine with, Muslims and Hindus and all their other psychobabble bullshit. But I'm actually in favor of the Protestant Reformation, because the Catholic Church at the time needed to be reformed, although the point of the Protestant Reformation was not to start a new church, but to actually bring the current system back to its original status. Not, selling tickets to heaven. That fracture, he argues, unleashed individualism, liberalism, democracy, capitalism, and the moral collapse he diagnosed as the Epstein elite, economic rot, and the society in its last stage of decay. The Byzantine Symphony is the proposed antidote, sacred and political power united under civilizational ruler. Okay. Individualism is a good thing. It's a dangerous thing, and that doesn't mean there doesn't need to be laws that incentivize good behavior. Hell, even God gave us 10 commandments. Democracy, the way he's probably referring it to, is not the way I would be referring to when I say, I don't like democracy. Democracy is mob rule. Democracy is, how do they put it? Two wolves and a sheep voting on what's for dinner. I'm not for it. That's also why America is not a democracy. If it was. The fact that he's just calling them the Epstein elite. I don't know what he means by that. The recruitment tool, fourth political theory, and its influence on the Woke Right. all these strands converge in Duggan's flagship intellectual product, the fourth political theory, first elaborated in his 2012 book and expanded across the Pneuma whatever series and lectures. It claims to transcend the three failed modern technologies: liberalism centered on individualism, communism centered on class, and fascism centered on nation or race. Okay, but you don't get your fucking Nazi-esque bullshit without fascism centered on nation or race and communism centered on class. It's, oh my god, these people just don't understand they're all the same. They're all the same. You're just fighting for different versions of the same shit. Instead, it centers on Dacian, Hegelian, being there, raw extension itself as the new political subject. Freedom is redefined as ethnocentric, cultural, and civilizational liberation beyond the atomized modern self. Okay. In practice, the fourth political theory function as an ideological Swiss Army knife, as all documented in the Counterpunch. It's beyond left and right posture, as has been deployed to recruit left-wing anti-imperialist, anti-Salafist Muslims, and most relevantly today, disillusioned American right-wingers. A podcast interview from 2018 provides concrete evidence for exactly the strategy in action. Nazi Richard Spencer and Nick Fuentes explicitly discussed the need to build a right-wing victimhood and identity politics movement modeled directly on Duggan's fourth political theory. Fuentes and Spencer describe it as a national socialist framework for grievances-based mobilization. Yeah, so this guy, Nick Fuentes, who wants to convince you he's so America, is pushing actual fucking identity politics, but it's okay when they do it. Today's woke right phenomenon, identity politics, and grievance culture on the right is not a spontaneous organic development, but a fruition of a decade-long project seeded through Duggan-influenced circles in the dissident right and the Groyper sphere. The March 26 videos appeal to non-conformist MAGA people who share the metaphysical vision is simply the latest, more public chapter in this long-term recruitment effort.
Workforce and feminism is okay in certain places, right? And on race, you do see with the right and the left, there is this idea that the left embraces identity politics. This is what the Ben Shapiros of the world say. This is what the conservative establishment, Conservative Inc. says, that the left embraces identity. And I think there is part of the right which can be seen. I think that's why you get people like Mike Tokes and Ali Akbar who call me a leftist, because they say it's the same identity politics. But I think to Richard's point about the fourth position, about this new identitarian place that we're entering, I do think we see an ideology of difference as opposed to sameness. I think what the right and the left have in common in their universalism is a rejection of difference in terms of gender, in terms of race. You know, we see both the right and the left embrace the idea that women and men are basically the same. You know, you'll have conservatives say that men and women are different, but are they really? Because they both encourage them to have the same exact functions in society. They both believe they should both be in the workforce, and feminism is okay in certain places, right? And on race, they both say we're all equal, we're all pink on the inside, both the right and the left. And so I think that kind of speaks to Richard's point and Alexander.
And what part of that is wrong? Now, obviously, men and women are different. Obviously, men and women do operate differently. They have different goals and different functions, different God-given functions, different God-given gifts and abilities. Sure, there's some overlap here and there. You know, a woman now can go to the grocery store and grab a pound of ground beef. They don't need to rely on a man with a spear and a shield to go out and hunt a mammoth. So the modernization has made things different, but our brains are saying, but what does it matter? Like, oh, we're all pink on. Yes. What is so wrong with seeing white people and black people and Arabs and Asians? Like, yeah, we're all the same, but we all do need to have similar values. But values are not genetic. values are not in DNA because morality is not natural. You don't just grow up and be like, well, I know not to murder, I know not to steal, I know to believe in God, I know to blah. Like, no, those are taught. Those are ingrained. God, I can't stand him. I was gonna move on from this fuck. Duggan on Islam, Israel, and the censorship of criticism. Further insight in Duggan's worldview comes from his own 25 statements after the Rare Foundation writer published a detailed expose on Duggan. She was immediately banned from X, with heavy throttling reported when attempting to share the article or even request reinstatement. Duggan himself weighed in on the Gaza conflict, describing the Islamic world's response as pitiful and disgusting. So he's basically saying the Islamic world needs to do more. And strategic defeat. He argued that Islam will not only become a true global power, God forbid, well, if you look at the book of Revelation, it might, when it possesses the capacity to destroy Israel. So, again, this is a weird thing to push the idea that, well, we should really be teaming with Islam, not Israel. Now, you may not like how much we give to Israel. You may not like that we give at all to Israel. That's a different thing. But I'm not teaming with Islam. Absolutely not. At least in Christianity and Judaism, there is a baseline of familiarity, right? You can argue on the whole who was Jesus thing, but there is no baseline of comparison of similarity for a Christian and a Muslim to be on the same team with. Absolutely not. Islam was expressly expansionistic by force and power. Christianity was a persecuted minority and was, even as I said on an episode of the show, in 303 there was an edict by Rome to say, hey, you're now illegal. Your churches are burned, your Bibles are ruined. For hundreds of years after Christ's death, they were nothing more than evangelizers and truth tellers. They didn't become soldiers. The Templar didn't just, they didn't come about until Islam decided to start marching westward. These statements, documented via MEMRI translation, reveal the civilization particularism at the heart of its multipolar vision and help explain why criticism of Duggan sometimes encounters unusual resistance in online spaces. Oh yeah, because this whole thing of like, well, you can't question the Jews, you can't question Israel. Really? Because I know a lot of people that suddenly popped up recently that started talking shit about Jews in Israel that are getting fucking massive views. All overnight. All of a sudden, they're saying like, oh, well, you can't speak about them. Really? Try talking about this guy. Try talking about fucking Qatar. Try talking about fucking Saudi Arabia money, you fucking idiots. The stakes in 2026, a live influence operation targeting the American right. In 2026, too far. The International Eurasian Movement continues its work, hosting conferences, influencing Russian education, publishing new translations, and extending digital outreach into Western populous spaces. Duggan's March 26 video is neither an accident nor an isolated provocation. It is the public deployment of a machine established over 4 decades, Schmittian geopolitics for the map, chaos magic for the methodology, Uzinski occult laboratory for the depth, and Byzantine symphony for the spiritual telos, and fourth political theory for the universal recruiter. It's all just this big fucking spider. The named American figures may not be consciously embraced every layer, but the invitation is now explicit and on the record. Recognize American decline as terminal, reject Trump's betrayal of multipolarity, which was the right move, amplify the anti-Israel and anti-liberal currents already present, and align with the metaphysical vision of a don't even know. I've never seen that word. World order. Duggan spent a lifetime constructing this structure, this architecture, from the Satanist salons of Soviet Moscow, where he performed as Hans Savers in the Rome hotel room, where he bonded with Bannon over Ebola, to the Black Chaos Star flag that still flies over his events. Yeah, we're so worried about, the occult symbols of having an Israeli flag, and I'm not saying Israeli flags need to be everywhere, especially on American events, especially during elections. I think that's kind of tacky and cringe. But yeah, if you're gonna say that that's wrong, how about you go after this side as well? When all your focus is on one side, but you ignore the same shit that's on your side, that is a cult. That is a cult. The question for America conservatives, for the broader MAGA movement, and for anyone concerned with the future of Western political discourse is no longer whether Duggan exists or whether his ideas circulating are that there are circulating. It is whether we examine the full blueprint, occult fascism wrapped in the language of multipolar liberation, traditionalist renewal, and spiritual awakening before any part of the right steps onto the tiger's back. The machine is running, the outreach is active, the blueprint is open. Thankfully, though, Duggan works like Klaus Schwab, only effective when he operates in the shadows. When his name and ideas are out in the open, his influence crumbles. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. Yes, it is. Thank you for making it to the end. I know it was a very long article, but every bit of it was needed. If you enjoyed this article, please consider subscribing. Okay. This is from Jacktron. Actually, I will put this article in here. That way, if you guys want to click on his link or whatever. So that was the article. That was everything that this guy talks about when it comes to who Alexander Duggan is. And I find it all very fucking creepy and very fucking interesting that this guy, who is no real, plans to be nice to Christianity or real care for it, who considers himself more spiritual than religious, is now courting this extreme emergence on the right. And I really hate that, because these guys on the right, they think they're so much different, they think they're so much better. Shiru, that's Donka. I am on. Yeah, sure. That's Donka. His name here on Twitter, YouTube. But yeah, it's really disgusting to see the same shit that was emerging from the left being emerging on the right, and I'm not surprised. It was always a possibility, especially when you feel disillusioned. And this is, again, I like to use dating and and marriage as a great example, because it's very easy to look at the world right now, especially with all the fucking dumbasses and the OnlyFans models, and just get black-pilled. I think that's the thing, is like, well, what does a society, or what does those in power that want to have full control over you and your life in society, what do they want? Well, they don't want you to have hope. They want you to be miserable, depressed. It's crap in the bucket mentality. It's narcissism. It's evil. So what do? They take away God, right? They remove God from school. They remove God from civilization, from society, and as such, there is no sense of hope, because if you look at only things biologically, and with what you see, there is no hope, because everything's bad. All the news is bad. There's just war and violence and death and all. And then they take away healthy relationships, they take away marriage, they take away parenting. So you're just left with this black pill of misery where you either go crazy and do some trans shooter shit, you actually end yourself, or you fall into a trap of absolute rabbit hole of evil ideology. And it's disgusting to see this being pushed by, obviously I know that Candace Owens and these people, they're not Christian. Nick Fuentes is not a fucking Christian, are you kidding me? No fucking way. And Tucker Carlson is, from what, I don't know how new he is, but I know he said he's a new-ish arrival to the faith, or maybe he's a returner, I don't know exactly. But even still, you don't get a say in this shit. It's kind of disgusting to see this occult, actual fascist, occult fascist, actual Nazi, Marxism, and a weird blending of Islam. And I'm not surprised on that, because as I said earlier and many times, it's going to be government and religion. That's always the two heads of the snake, of the dragon, is a government iron force and a religious guilt, or in this case with Islam, force. Which is why I find it so funny that certain people who were once in this server, in this community, that no longer are here, they want to predicate everything on power and force and might makes right, but what systems are predicated on that ideology? Marxism and Islam. Which is why they're trying to marry this new right, or this whatever, with the old left, which is nothing more than Marxists, pro-Marxists and pro-Islamists. So, yeah. Actually, I ended up getting through that article a lot faster than I thought. I'd be here for a lot longer, so let's take a little bit to ask you guys, what did you guys think of all that? What were your thoughts? How did, because I know I fucked up a lot of the words were, and names were just in other languages and shit. I'm just like, I don't speak Russian. What is you guys' thought on all this? And if you wish to shin kick Lunatic while I'm still here, be my guest. See all that's. Oh shit! Nyala boosted the server. Thanks, Nyala. I didn't even notice. I think that means we are at. Oh, okay. People suck. I think they're all grifters. I think a lot of them are, and I think a lot of them are just. I think a lot of people want no kicking. I just think it's SpongeBob right now. I want to do some kicking. No, Patrick, that's a chorus. I think at best, they are people that are just disillusioned with the current system, and at worst, they're grifters. And I'm not sure who is who. I know Candace Owens certainly is a grifter. I know Nick Fuentes is certainly one. I don't really think Tucker is a grifter. I think he's just... I don't want to say stupid. I just think he's fallen into a trap. I really do. I think he's fallen into no different a trap than those on the left. Right? Whatever. Also, welcome in, Lunatic. I mean, everyone's free to give Lunatic the shin kick if they want. I mean, dude, you're fucking well in the lead this month. Holy shit. I mean, it would take a Spartan donation. This is Sparta to outdo you right now. You're that far in the lead. So yeah. I don't know how much you got to hear, Lunatic, but yeah, we were talking about this apparent occultist Satanist that is now influencing the so-called Christians on the Woke Right, which I don't even think Woke Right is. I think it's more. I like the term Woke Reich. Is biting okay? Oh my god. Ah, fucking A. Actually, I'm going to put this on a be right back and be right back. Give me a second, guys. Oh, okay. There we go. Too much Mountain Dew. I listen to so many long-form content creators for my news when I'm gaming, and that I had just about forgotten that this was live. Oh, okay. Well, you know, glad you're here. I wasn't exactly sure. Congrats, yes, Michael. You made it to the same section of my brain as next. Oh, cool! I'm glad to know I made it to that level. Yeah, so, like I said, I wasn't exactly sure how long this stream was gonna be, especially since I started at 9. I was like, I really don't want to go for 3 hours, like, you know, midnight mass. But hey, if that article takes me time, it takes me time. But yeah. So, I just want to say, thanks, everyone. Thank you, Leo, Nyala, Lunatic, Shiru, everyone that stopped in for this bit of a one-off stream. You know, a little weird, my own. Not really sure what to call it, but it's just a little dedicated video, dedicated stream. Because a video and the last midnight mass, just, I could not do all of that night. So this article needed its own dedicated stream, and I'm really happy. You know, synergy for the devil. It really turned out good. Need more monsters? Hell, fuck, dude. I'll never say no to more. Well, that's not always true. I don't drink a lot. But let's see, what do I have coming up this week? I was gonna try and do a Party Hard stream tomorrow. I may still be able to, so if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I'm almost at 150, so stay tuned. I may be doing something tomorrow. I may just take the day off because, you know, I'm gonna hang out with Nyala. Let's see, then I have Friday, which is Jack's Sabbath. Come by, stop in for that one, because, you know, you can play the game with. It doesn't matter. I have the game. Let's see, we got Saturday, I don't do anything on Saturday, at least not anything on this channel. I will be over on Steve Dave's show doing Silence Banter because, you know, the Bantards won. Fucking Family Feud. I want a rematch. I want a fucking rematch. Them assholes will win next time. And then Sunday we'll be back for Midnight Mass at 9 p.m. EST. And then next Monday, we already know what we're doing. We're going to be playing more Wheel of Fortune. Steve Dave will be hosting. And Slim is actually not only a Slim live, but Slim will be able to play as a contestant, not a host this time. So, anyways. Anytime, anywhere. Yeah, fucking bring it on. You, Steve, Gaito, we'll fucking kick your ass next time. But anyways, thanks you guys for coming in. Thanks for stopping by, having fun, chatting, and listening to me horrifically read that article. Remember, God bless, may demons fear when you wake in the morning, and our morals are not their shield. Bye.
Thank you.